Peace and blessings. Thank you all for joining. So today I want to talk about Google's Project Loon. What is it? And its similarities to Elon Musk's Starlink or SpaceX. Now, when I first heard about SpaceX, I gave it the side eye because we know what space is and we understand their secular cosmology and all the inconsistencies and just the theories and narratives that go along with NASA. So I wanted to just do some research. Of course, it's fair use, educational, informational purposes only, giving you my opinion and my view about the knowledge and things that I read. So I was doing some research into this Project Loon, and it turns out that Project Loon is another internet endeavor about bringing internet via the atmosphere through weather balloons, stratospheric weather balloons, right? And of course, people think Starlink is hooked up with satellites and all these words that you can't verify. You have to trust and believe that what they said is out there and their so-called outer space is what it is. And this is not to get into the whole flat earth argument, because I don't believe what the world is promoting, but that doesn't mean that I know what exactly it is. There is a mystery that we don't know, and it's maybe not for us to know. So let's look into this. Now, I think my opinion is Project Loon could be Starlink rebranded. And Starlink or SpaceX is really to just kind of divert your attention to some kind of theoretical location. And you can turn a blind eye to all the resources and funds being diverted into somewhere that you have to trust exists while they build this internal infrastructure on Earth, the B system, as it were. We all know about 15-minute smart cities and how they're trying to electrify and create this digital realm that is completely controlled by a one world government, right? So when I think about Google, Starlink, they're all really government assets disguised as a private corporation, just like Google, just like Facebook. These are just like government institutions disguised in the private sector, so that people can think that these are regular people who are trying to, do things unaffiliated with government, even though they have mysteriously have all these contracts, all these connections with all these agencies that are high level agencies. And you don't get that unless the government allows you to do that. So let's look into this a bit. I'm gonna share my screen and thank you all for joining. So let's check this out. Let me pull this up here. All right. All right, let's go. All right, so let's look at Project Loon. So I did some digging, researching this, and I was just like, what is this? Never really heard about it. Maybe I'm late, maybe I just don't know. But Project Loon, billions of people could get online for the first time thanks to helium balloons that Google will soon send over many places cell towers don't reach. Now, we understand during a lockdown, there was a proliferation of ground towers, right, with the 5th generation tech, and people just started seeing this stuff come out overnight while we were mysteriously and coincidentally told to stay indoors, hold your breath and all this narrative, right? And I always knew that, weather balloons, and they have very sophisticated weather balloons now. It's a lot of technology where they can put stuff in the upper atmosphere and kind of simulate what they would call orbit, or low Earth orbit or something like that. But it's just really in the upper atmosphere, in the stratosphere to be more specific. And so as I did my research, because weather balloons happen all the time. Yeah, I remember it was a few months ago, this mysterious weather balloon was traveling around the country and everybody said it was China And I thought that was really suspicious and weird. There's a lot of things going on that are being, we're being distracted from, and there's uses deflection and, just very convenient timing when these things happen, because the media only promotes on what they want you to know. They could easily not speak on it and people wouldn't know about it, because most people don't know about things unless the mainstream Operation Mockingbird media told them about it. So it says Google says these balloons can deliver widespread economic and social benefits by bringing internet access to the 60% of the world's people who don't have it. Now, coincidentally, we understand what weather modification did in these hurricanes. Helene and what's the other one with the M? I can't think of it right now. But these hurricanes destroy the infrastructure, right? And then coincidentally, Elon Musk and his Starlink started putting their little Starlink places in so these people can have access to internet, specifically politics. And I'm gonna bring this article. It's an article I want to look up about hurricane relief and Starlink. Let's look, hurricane relief and Starlink. Let's see if we can pull this up in real time. Yeah, Milton, that was the one. Hurricane Helene and Milton. I think it was the NBC article I wanted to get. Let's see if I can find NBC. Okay, here it is right here. This is what I want you all to see. Now, is it just me or is this weird? Elon Musk Starlink brings internet and politics to stormed, ravaged areas. Now, we understand that weather modification can displace large amounts of people, tear down existing infrastructure. It gives a perfect opportunity to what they would like to call in the Biden administration, build back better, And we saw what happened in Lahaina, Hawaii, and Maui, and all around the world, in Chile and Greece and all these areas. This is a worldwide agenda to tear down existing infrastructure and, as they say, reset everything and provide this new technological smart grid in their new system where they connect digital ID and CBDC and all this other stuff, Internet of Bodies, Web3, everything's interconnected in this new network and connectivity with their fifth, sixth, and so on generation technology. Understand what's going on. So let's continue. And so here's the official site with Project Loon. As you see, there's a stratospheric weather balloon. Loon, expanding internet connectivity with stratospheric balloons. And this is not the first time I was made aware of some called private or government federal agencies using weather balloons. So it says billions of people across the globe, is that word, still don't have reliable, affordable access to internet. The internet has transformed the way the world communicates, learns, governs, and exchanges ideas, but billions of people across the world lack reliable, affordable access. Now, I did a short video talking about most of our internet is ran through cables under the ocean. And this is confirmed by WEF. Matter of fact, I like to pull up things. So let me see if I can pull this up right quick. Let's see. WEF, internet underground cables. Let's see if we can pull this up in real time. Yep, there it is. Okay, let me see. Okay, So this map shows how undersea cables move internet traffic around the world. Interesting enough. So let me pull this up. I think it's a high percentage. I think they said like 90% of the internet is from this. Yeah, see, look. Have you ever wondered how internet traffic flies around the world? 99% of it travels through cables under the sea. That's your internet telephone conversation. And again, I'm going to put all these things in the description box. I just thought it was interesting. So there you go. Not going to spend a lot of time, but let me see. They show you cables here and so on. There's a good picture of the network. Now, when I first heard about Starlink and I kind of, in concept, I was thinking that, you know what, they're going to create this place where their elusive imaginary satellites will connect directly to your devices, right? But that's not actually how it works. And I was wondering if they have a in their narrative, if they use quote unquote their fake satellites to connect directly to devices, then why do we have a proliferation of ground towers? That doesn't make sense if it's going directly. But see, everything is a deflection and distraction from what the truth is. And we're going to get into that. But before we get there, let's check out this. This is from NASA.gov. SOFIA, stratospheric observatory for infrared astronomy. Now, people who believe these narratives, theoretical narratives about what is space and what is beyond Earth and all this stuff, which is just, CGI and artist illustrations and theories that no one can verify or prove. But you think that these images or what these Hubble telescopes, that's all theoretical in my view. We can't prove it. We can't deny it, confirm, nor deny it. And that's the way they like it. But I did find this interesting that they have a stratospheric observatory that they use to take images of things. So when we look at maps and pictures, and of course we know about the fisheye lens and all that stuff, but I'm not getting into that. But they're using a 747 Boeing aircraft, NASA. Why would you use such an aircraft so closely related to what we use to travel through our atmosphere if this is all about quote unquote outer space? Very shady work here. And let me see. It says an illustration of NASA's SOFIA, a modified Boeing 747 aircraft. It says SOFIA carried a reflecting telescope that observed the cosmos in infrared light. It flew into the Earth's stratosphere up about 45,000 feet, collecting data during the 10-hour overnight flights, observing the moon. Here we go. Quote unquote planets, quote unquote stars, and nearby galaxies and whatever they claim. You have to believe this is a faith-based theory here, right? And it's interesting because, this stuff has been going on for a while. They indoctrinate people in secular institutions, public institutions, that you have to believe in evolution and all these theories. They're theories. They're not proven by any stretch of the imagination. I've gone through the fossil record and proved how all those fossils they claim are missing links have been debunked or proved as frauds. And I'm going to get to why they're lying on such a large scale about everything. So let's continue. Okay, here we are. Starlink. Starlink ground station, the backbone of, is that word, internet. Now, why would the ground station or ground towers be the backbone of something that is allegedly in quote unquote outer space? What is really going on here? And there was something in Time magazines. It says, let's see, let's go to Time magazine. And I knew this because they claim that these towers are going to bring better service and reception, faster internet bandwidth to you, right? But I found this article very interesting. It says, this is by Time magazine. You're not imagining it, cell phone reception is getting worse. And I'm like, well, why would my cell phone connection get worse if we have these ground towers like every mile, every 1 to 3 miles? And then you got single cells that are attached to schools and buildings and shopping centers, and these things are everywhere. Not to mention the street lights that are now Wi-Fi accessible with 5th gen technology and all this stuff. So, I'm just putting all this stuff together. Who am I? I don't really know. I can't confirm nor deny, but just for my information and just for my education, I see a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of incoherent ideas about what we're being told and what we observe in reality. Very interesting. I don't know about you, but they're designing a grid where if your cell phone is not on Wi-Fi, your service is slow. But they claim you got these nice little, I know most Wi-Fi, or at least on my Wi-Fi in my home, is 6th gen. It says 6 plus on there. And I'm just wondering, well, we all use a limited amount of carriers. So if they're already projecting something with the 6 on it, that's interesting. That's different from the 5th and LTE and all the stuff we see on our phones, because it's almost like they're designing people to live off of Wi-Fi, and they're getting people away from their personal carriers. And Wi-Fi is kind of this grid that they're trying to pull people in, right? And so let's quickly read here. What is a Starlink ground station? It says a Starlink ground station, also refers to as a gateway, is a terrestrial relay station that communicates with Starlink, blah blah blah, orbiting. There's these words. The Earth. These stations are essential for the transmission of data between the so-called satellites and the internet backbone on the ground, not directly to your devices as we're being told. And I honestly think that these weather balloons and these ground towers and these single cells are this network, this grid. As they terraform our environment, the electrification, this is why radiation is such an issue, right? Everybody's having this radiation symptoms from all this Wi-Fi and this technology, that cell phones, all this stuff that we long knew was damaging to our wellness, to our bodies. But they have to find a way to covertly relabel and reinterpret the effects of this technology. And so we got all these so-called theories that come out to interpret symptoms of everything happening in your body. And we know what that's about, right? You see how there's a string all these little agendas and these narratives together to collude in this large global worldwide deception. Very interesting. So just give you a little bit of overview here. So let's continue. It gets more interesting. So, you heard what we talked about radiation, right? Check this out. It says newest Starlink satellites are leaking even more radiation than their predecessors and could soon disrupt astronomy. Now that's weird. That's very weird. Just like we've been having these auroras, and we know about HARP, which is basically an aurora, and their creation of artificial auroras. And it's almost like they're giving us the perfect distractions, the false signs and wonders that the Bible talks about, lying signs and wonders to deceive people who trust and worship the world. That's kind of happened. And I put all this information in many lives, and I talk about the false auroras and what HARP really means, and why all of a sudden we get auroras in mid latitudes that never happened before. And this, we know about the Bible says this changes in the sun and the moon, but I honestly think that these so-called corona mass ejections and solar flares are really the effect of their technology in the atmosphere, that they're bathing us with this radiation, and they're purposely disrupting, while preparing for possible cyber whatever, to disrupt the way we communicate now that everything's more digital, everything's more connected through Wi-Fi internet. They can easily shut things on and off and create whatever narrative to cloak the true reason for these things. Very interesting. So let's continue. And we saw this, Elon and his deception here. So, I just put this stuff together. They want you to believe in satellites, quote unquote, but we see there's a lot of stratospheric balloons and stratospheric 747s that we can confirm with our eyes. And if you looked at what they call a satellite at the museums, it's kind of hard to believe that does anything, And then this outer space narrative within the secular cosmological false theory that has its holes. And these balloons coordinate with ground towers and other sensors to create this smart grid connectivity. And we all know about the 15-minute smart cities and how that's being prepared, and how they're modifying the weather to create these situations, to build situations back, and make order out of chaos and do all this stuff. It's really just quite interesting. All this for me understanding and researching Project Loon. So these government institutions are basically indoctrinating the lost masses with these false theories and ideologies to disguise what I believe to be nefarious agendas on Earth, and disguised as some kind of explorative initiatives, within a theoretical construct of of secular cosmology and things we can't verify or confirm and deny. And they know no one could possibly test to see if it's true or verify, diverting unknown amounts of funds and resources to build their, what I like to call, the beast system on Earth in plain sight, while those who worship the world look to the sky. It's kind of the perfect deflection and distraction for people who are spiritually dead. And with this proliferation of fifth gen towers on the ground, it's very, suspicious to me, that they want you to believe in all this quote unquote space nonsense. We saw what allegedly they had a car in outer space, and that was just ridiculous. And all this stuff with Red Bull and this man doing all this theatrics. And it's just a lot of things are just not making sense to me. They're inconsistent. So I just wanted to talk about this. And, there's a lot I could say concerning why they're lying. But the short of it is, if they told us what's really going on and why everything is happening and what the goal of this world and how it exploits the sin nature, it would just prove the God of the Bible to be true, which would allow people to see the world for what it is and know God is real and place their faith in Him. And people would not just go along with the flow, even if they're risk of losing out or whatever, because our life is from God, and they want you to forfeit the soul of you, the very essence that God gave us, to believe their lies, to live within their false construct and paradigm. And that's the beast system controlled by the Antichrist. All of this is playing a role. So I just wanted to talk about this. It's a lot. I try to put it together in a very compact, concise manner, So thank you all for checking me out. And please like the video, like, share, and subscribe on the way. And I will try to do more of these videos as we go along. A little longer than I wanted, but that's the way it is. So peace and blessings. Thanks again. Like, share, and subscribe. And God willing, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.